Listo. Hola a todos, bienvenidos al segundo día de actividades de Animation Level 4 y comenzamos con una super plática con el equipo de Toon Boom Harmony. Nos acompaña Carlos Ruiz y desde muy lejos Harry Ravelo. Bienvenidos todos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Thank you, Harry, Carlos, for joining us. And well, we are very happy to have you here and show us like all the latest features from Toon Boom Harmony, which is the software that we are using at the school. And the students are every day making really cool stuff with it. So I think this will be very interesting for them. And well, without further ado, I will pass the mic to you guys. We'll go behind the scenes. If you have any questions, just let us know. And thank you for joining us. And let's go.
Perfect. Harry, I'm going to say first a few words in Spanish and then I'll give you the mic. Amigos de CEDIM, de verdad muchísimas gracias por tenernos la mañana de hoy. Esperemos que, estoy seguro que va a ser una plática bastante entretenida para ustedes. A ver, yo soy Carlos Ruiz, los vamos a estar acompañando este próximo par de días en otras pláticas que tenemos. Y esta exactamente se llama Harmony 21, ¿okay? Que es la nueva versión de Harmony. Entonces, sin quitarles más tiempo, porque van a ver de Toon Boom un poco más en los próximos días. Entonces, sin quitarles más tiempo, aquí les presento a mi colega, amigo Harry Ravelo, que nos acompaña desde Sudáfrica. Él es técnico, un líder técnico de Toon Boom, y ustedes probablemente lo conocen ya de videos en YouTube y de otras plataformas. Harry, when I mentioned what you do, the hearts, we had so many hearts,
Oh, no.
And I'm enjoying all the hearts, all the claps. Thank you, guys. Okay, Harry, all yours.
Much. Thank you very much. Okay, guys. Well, welcome. Thank you for having me around. Thank you for having us around. Thank you, Carlos, for the introduction. Thank you to the college to giving us the platform to do this. Today we're going to take a look at the new features in Toon Boom Harmony 21. It's going to be, I think we're having another session tomorrow. So today it's only going to be about the new features of what we call the studio version, because now we have very excited that we have a game feature, a whole set of game features as well, which we will be talking about tomorrow. So today we're going to focus on the features for the studio version, which is what you're going to be using in let's say normal animation productions, right? So that's feature films, that's animated series, that's student projects, that's any kind of animated projects that you are already using Harmony for. Okay, so it's going to be a fairly detailed demo on some of the aspects of it, but there's a couple of theoretical things as well. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you and we're going to get cracking. So let me just go into, I am not used to this platform, so please excuse me if I'm a bit slower than usual. Let me just share it right now. And I think I am on, I think. Yeah, I should be on, yes. Thank you so much. Great. Okay, guys. So like I mentioned, we're going to talk about Toon Boom Harmony number 21. So as you know, Harmony has been around for, well, Toon Boom has been around for about 27 years now this year. And we've been at the top of the animation, 2D animation or 2.5D animation around the world for a very long time. And every time we launch a new software, a new version of our software, it is obviously with a lot of new things, exciting things, but also things that allow us to get closer and closer to what the industry is looking for. Okay, and this version in particular is focused a lot. I would say a good 60% of this version happens in the background. So unfortunately, it's things that we we, for example, are not able to show you on screen. It's some things that you'll be able to experience as you are using them. So the first thing that we've improved is in terms of performance, okay? So as you know, of course, the projects get bigger and bigger. The streamers such as Netflix, Disney Plus, and Apple TV Plus, who, by the way, are most of the new 2D projects that are commissioned for those distributors or streamers are done on Toon Boom Harmony. And one of the reasons for that is because we are able to output at the quality that they're looking for. Okay. So when you start a new project in Toon Boom Harmony, you already know that you can work in all the different resolutions that you can think of. Everything from low resolution all the way to 8K ultra high HD if you need to do that. But not only that, we also need to be working now in HDR. Okay, so HDR is high dynamic range for those of you who are not too familiar with it. And high dynamic range means that you need to be able to make way for a whole lot more colors than normal. So when Netflix or when Disney Plus or Apple TV Plus, for example, but there are many others, are asking for HDR or HDR10 even quality, it is on top and over and on top the 4K specification that they have. And to do that, we need more power. Okay, so the product has been now being pushed to deliver more power. For example, we now have a lot more power in terms of functional and functional use of Toon Boom. So as you're busy working with the software, it is much faster. It is now able to use multi-threading and multi-cores. So if you've got, let's say, 8 cores or 16 cores on your computer, it will be able to use all the cores and use it for not only the rendering, but also while you're busy working. So that has been highly improved, and we're seeing a improvement of about 1.5, if not 2 times faster than previous versions. So that's interactive manipulation, as we call it, right? In terms of rendering, we also brought the game up, and it's rendering a lot faster now. And we've got a lot of improvement in terms of rendering itself, which I will show you just now. We also have faster interactive compositing. So, there's a lot more ways in which the software can access the GPU and the CPU power of your computers to make it much faster. I told you this was going to be theoretical, I know, but that's, it's very important that the software is ready for what the industry is looking for. And in terms of HDR, we can go, by going into the scene settings, into color space, you are able to change the color space in which your scene is designed natively. Okay, so this depends on what your client is looking for. If you work mainly in 2D, if you work in sRGB, which is the native color space for normal computer screens, it's fine, because essentially it's almost like a flat one. Okay, but if you want to be more specific and you need to work in a specific color space that allows for HDR, that prepares you for HDR and HDR10 content, then you are able to bump up the color space to, let's say, Rec 2020, which is gonna give you more depth and more for your colors to be ready for HDR. So HDR is not created inside of Harmony. It's done later during the color grading or the compositing stage, but you can make your files ready for HDR content along your pipeline. Okay, so when you export, for example, now with our Harmony 21, when you export a movie, right, as long as you are able to select the right options. So you can select, of course, H.264 MPEG-4 MOVs or QuickTime Movie. If you go to QuickTime Movie, you've got options, and in your options, you have a whole bunch of different codecs that you can use over here. And you can choose also the color space that you want to export it as. So even if you worked as, if you don't know what you worked in, it doesn't matter. When you export your video, you can export it at the right color space. Okay, so that you can do that for video. And you can also do that for images as well. So if you export, when you export OpenGL or even layout images like this, you can also choose, you can choose to work in a specific color space. Okay, so that's in terms of HDR and color space support. The next big change that we've added, still in the background, is the support for Apple ProRes. This is quite technical as well, but I think it's something that you may need to know. So Apple ProRes is a codec that is used by all the major, streamers and production studios around the world. It's a very, very high quality, codec that is used. And it's also used by the big cameras like the Reds and all of those, because it retains quality to the highest standard. So now we have full support for Apple ProRes. So when you export to movie, you can go to QuickTime ProRes Movie. And in this case, of course, you can choose your color space, but you can choose also the different codec. The highest of them would be 4444 or XQ over here, which is almost 1-to-1. It's almost completely non-compressed at the highest quality. You can even add alpha channel. So if you've got transparency in your videos, it will work with the alpha channel as well. Okay, it works for Windows as well, as long as you've got the right, the latest QuickTime plugin installed in Windows. Okay, so this ProRes can export to up to a resolution of 5K, full resolution 5K in ProRes. So like I said, it's huge, and it makes for perfect quality. And that's why some of the big studios are using Harmony, because they know that we have the right power and the right quality behind our product. Okay, so now let me show you a couple of things, as I've been talking for quite a while. Okay, so we're going to go into some of the new tools over here. So I'm going to show you the, first of all, I'm going to show you the new drawing tools that we have in Toon Boom Harmony 21. So I'm going to use the library and go into here and go use this tool, this scene over there. So in terms of the brushes, we've got, first of all, we've got new brush presets. So if you go into your brush tool over here and you go into your tool properties, under the properties of your brush over here, you have, of course, you've got presets, and you've got the ability to change your textures, right? And your settings. So we'll return to that in a minute. But in terms of your presets, it's here. We've got a whole bunch of beautiful presets available as well. So now I need to use my tablet to be able to show you. So down here, we've got a few new ones. So I'm not going to show all of them, but we've got, for example, which one is that that I wanted to show you? We've got the charcoal, we've got the dark charcoal, and we've got the calligraphy one, for example. So the calligraphy one is interesting. So I can use, for example, the calligraphy one like this, which allows you to, of course, have a type of a calligraphy type of feeling to my brush, right? Like that. But of course, if I use, so let me make it a bit bigger. So depending on the orientation that I'm drawing at, it allows me to have very, very nice calligraphy features like this to be drawing as I want to, just like a calligraphy brush. But if I have the art pen and I've got the ability to, let's say the Wacom art pen, and I've got the ability to turn, then I can turn my my brush however I want to, whenever I want to. I can do that if I access the settings over here and I add a angle, a sensitivity on the angle, right? So depending on the heading that I'm heading on my pen here, and as you can see, I can change the orientation of my pen depending on where my pen is going, right? Or I can leave it constant like I had earlier, and that's creating a sort of sometimes it's very thin, sometimes it's very thick, okay? Or I can go to twist if my pen can actually twist, and my pen can, so now I can do that with my pen, as you can see. Well, you can't see my pen, my hand twisting, but I promise you it's twisting as I'm moving like that. Okay, so that's supporting, that's obviously if, as it says here, if supported by pen, and that's because I've got an art pen. But you don't need the art pen. You can use a normal Wacom pen and use any of these here, whether it's constant, heading, or azimuth. Azimuth will do the same thing, but according to the tilting that you've got on your pen. So as you tilt your pen, it will actually change the direction like that, as you can see. I'm just tilting here. I'm not twisting my pen, I'm tilting it in either this way or that way. So that will then allow you to have almost the same feeling as the twisting if you don't have an art pen. So this is big, folks, because this means that you have now all of these options to play with your brushes, okay? And you can create your own presets, and it makes it a lot more powerful for you to create different types of brushes, all right? So we've got a couple of these new things here that are available for you as presets that we've added directly to Toon Boom Harmony. But of course, you have the ability to change it for yourselves. So in the settings, we also have a brand new property window. So, and these properties, by the way, work whether it is a bitmap brush or a vector brush, not for pencil, okay? This is for brushes, all right? So for brushes, you have in the maximum size, maximum and minimum size, as you know, for a normal brush, let's say, let's go to the normal preset solid brush over here. Let me just delete those. The normal thing that we have for minimum and maximum size is pressure. So if I press hard, it's like this. If I don't press hard, it's like that, for example. Okay, it can even make my minimum size a lot more. So it's minimum like that and maximum like that. But we've now added more options for pressure. So minimum and maximum size, either for pressure or also with tilt. So depending on how my pen is tilted, if my pen is straight, it's thin. If my pen is tilted, it's going to be thick. You know, just like you have. So when you want to, for example, do this, it's my pen is tilted there, it's thick. And when I want to draw a precise line, I make the point almost perpendicular to my tablet. So I can change that with tilt, but I can also change it with speed. So for example, when I draw fast, my line is thin, and when I slow down, it's thick. You see that? So I go slow and accelerate, and it will thinner. So that's also when I use a brush, a real brush in real life. When I go slowly, I can press down, and when I go fast, it just uses the tip of the brush. Well, you can have the same thing, or you can invert for any of these. And you can change the sensibility as well in percentage form. And then you can also taper by distance or by percentage. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can do. It's really amazing now how much you can play around with the different things within. And of course, you can combine these things as well. And you can save these all as presets, okay? But that's not all. You can also go into the transparency. So if I use a textured brush, if I go into transparencies here, I've got maximum and minimum flow, same thing. So if I want, for example, again, a pen that is tilted, so let me just show you what that looks like. When I'm using a pencil and I tilt it, all right, and I tilt it like this, look how gray it is. Right? And then when my pen is perpendicular and I do the same thing, it's darker. All right. And that's, again, super cool, because now I have the ability to control my shading directly with the tilt of my pen, exactly like I'm using a pencil on a piece of paper. And again, I can do that with speed as well as pressure. I can invert it. I can change the taper. And then again, I can do the same for opacity as well. This is flow, but I can do the same for opacity. So guys, you have an unlimited amount of options for your brushes. I know it's overwhelming. I know that it could take you a long time to set it up, but the good news is that you can save all of these as presets. And then you can, of course, import and export those presets. So you don't have to every time redo your settings, okay? And you can share them amongst your team members. So if you're working in, in teams, you can obviously then go and share the flow, the preset that you've set up for your specific brush, and give it to someone else, okay? So those are very, very cool. So those are the two brand new brand new drawing tools that we have in Harmony 21. Then we also have the stencil brush tool. So the stencil brush tool existed in a way, but we've improved on it. So now we have, under the brush tool over here, we either have brush or stencil brush. And when you choose stencil brush, you now have all the options that you want to, obviously, for your brushes, like your preset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use like an airbrush over here, like that. And then you have two options here. You have either overlay brush mode or repaint brush mode. So it depends on what you want. If you want to repaint, this is a tool that already existed, right? So if I want to repaint, for example, everything that is on this layer. So everything on this layer here is red. So if I want to repaint everything that's red into the color that I'm on now, I can just go on there, and I don't need to be very precise. It will just repaint just that color red, because that's the layer I've got right here. The thing with this one is that when I select this now, okay, that takes everything with it. It doesn't create a new layer for me. It repaints everything, okay? So that's a total repaint, okay? So that's the first option. The second option is an overlay brush mode. Now, overlay is interesting because it actually adds a new layer on top. So if I do the same thing, same layer, and I draw an overlay on top like this, now watch what happens. It still does that, but now it's a new layer. Okay, so now I can even use this to create a new drawing altogether if I want to, as a method of creating a new drawing. And this is very cool if I want to do, for example, some shading, right? So if I choose that, and let me make this a bit bigger, and I want to do and make some shading like this on it. That's pretty cool. But what if I want to do it on several layers? That's easy. You can actually select which layers you want it to affect it on. Let's say here, I want to do it on both the red and the yellow layer. So that's fine. I can just shift click and select multiple layers and do this like this. And now it's going to be a new shading on all of the layers together. And now I can carry on my shade if I want to, and I can make it lighter over here. And you know, I'm not an artist, guys, so please, apologies for the crudeness of my drawings, but you know, it's hopefully you understand what this is capable of doing. Okay, so you can select multiple layers. It doesn't have to be one after the next. One layer can be all the way at the bottom, and the one is somewhere else. That's absolutely fine as long as you select it. Select multiple layers, and it will absolutely work for you. Okay, so that's what the overlay, sorry, the stencil brush does, and that's now over here. Okay, next to just under the brush, like that. And again, that works for brushes, not for pencils. Okay. The other thing that we have is the ability to cut multiple lines at the same time or single lines. So this is something I'm going to use the this now, and I'm going to make this a bit bigger like this. Okay, so I'm going to draw multiple lines like that. I may actually do this here, and I'm going to draw this like this, and I'm not going to be very precise here and do that. Okay, now I'd like to cut these lines so that they stop exactly where I want. Now I can use the cutter, which is over here, which is not a new tool. It's been there for a long time, as you know. But what's new is we've got this. So single line cutting gesture or multiple line cutting gesture. Single line is just for one. So if I do that, it only cuts the first one, like that. Okay. And then if I use the other one, obviously it will cut multiple lines at the same time. Okay, well, there's a bit of this as well here, which we don't want, but you can easily do that as well. Okay, so it's a simple tool, but it will obviously allow you to go much faster in your cleanups. Sometimes we've added this because some people didn't like the fact that you could automatically cut multiple lines. They only wanted to cut one, and so now we're giving you the choices as to whether you want to use one single or multiple lines at the same time. Okay, another little change while I'm here is that the select by color is now in here. Okay, it was actually placed in when you chose the select tool. It was here, which is still there. Okay, select by color in here, but it's also here, select by color. And now you can click a particular color and it will select everything that has got that color on that particular layer by just clicking once. Okay, even if it's multiple lines like I have here. Okay, great. And then we've got other little improvements, but I'm not going to go through them all, otherwise we'll never have time for the demo. But you know, those are the major ones that we have for drawing at the moment. Right, let's now go into the rigging and cutout animation. So I'm just going to delete all of this over here as we don't need that, and I'm going to bring in my this one here. Okay, so we have a new deformer, or at least a new system available for in Toon Boom Harmony 21, and that is called the rigid point deform mode. Okay, so that's not a new deformer, it's a new system. Okay, so if you look at the scene over here, we've got my scene there. Okay, it's a very simple scene. We don't need a complex one to illustrate that. And so what it is that we've got a deformer, a weighted deformer on this cloth. And then that will go, the one goes directly to weighted deform, and the one goes through a system called rigid point deform, which is the new system we have in Harmony 21. So let me show you the normal one first of all. So I'm going to choose the display here, weighted deform like that. So that works if I select, for example, this one, this point over here, and I move it, okay, it actually will deform in this way. You can see that it's curved somewhat my lines, it's curved around here as well, and it allows me to curve it like that, okay? And if I select this guy and do the same, again, as you can see, it deforms the line like this. So you may like that. You may like that it does that, but you may also want it to be more rigid, more stiff. Don't deform too much for me. Well, in this case, you can use the rigid point deform before you go into the deformation. In that case, look what the difference is. This is rigid. This is without rigid. You can see? So now it's still a little bit deformed there, but actually, when I do that and I'll show you the rigid point deform over here, you can see it's much straighter. So if I go back to the normal one, you can see there the way it's twisting it or keeping it rigid. Now you may think, yeah, but what are we going to use this for? You never know. At least now you have the option, right? So you have the option of keeping it quite rigid. That also means that you have more control because you can move it like this without it completely deforming. But you can also then go into your you know, you don't have to actually be able to twist it yourself. It will lock it into position. It won't twist it for you. But if you want the option, you can always go into the normal weighted deformation, and that will then allow you, of course, to twist it a lot more if you want to. So you can use it without the rigid point deformer, which will allow you more flexibility on rotation, okay? So those are some of the differences between the two, and it's very useful when you deform textures. Now you can also mix the two together, okay? So let me show you what that looks like when you now mix the two all together, okay? So I'm just gonna delete all of this now. And I'm going to bring yet another thing. So let me just bring the last one here, which is called, sorry, it's a bit far mixed. There we go. Now this one is also a bit different. So let me go to my display. Oh, there you go. And this one will allow me to rigid deform. Let me go inside the system and show you. It allows me to mix the two together, okay? So if I select, I can have a normal weighted deformer. Let me show you that first, okay? So I'm just gonna plug the weighted deformer in here, and I'm going to change it. So again, I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna move it like this, and maybe select this one and move it like this. So this is the normal deformation that I have on it. Now I have not access to my rigid in this case, okay? Oops, Siri, I don't need you. But if I mix the two together, this time it gives me not on, remember I said to you in the first one, you could not control the rigid point deformer. You could only stay rigid. Well, in this case, you can actually control it depending on what you are holding. So if you're holding this one or you're holding that one, you can actually use the rigid and the non-rigid at the same time so that you can twist it like this and keep it rigid. So it will rotate, but keep the rotation as you are squishing it down. These are small details, but you'll see as you start using it, you'll see how useful it will be, compared to what we had before. So we've actually combined multiple rigid point deforms together with normal deformations. Okay. So these are some of the things that we are able to do, which will make your life a lot easier. All right. Okay, cool. So that's in terms of deformation. Now, let's go into, I'm actually going to restart this from scratch here, and I'm going to bring something quite exciting for you. I'm going to show you the new capture motion tool. Okay, that's a really cool tool to have. Now, let's go into the library, and I'm going to use the this one. This is a very cool scene. It was made by one of our champions, and it is a fantastic scene. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at it first. Let's play it so that you can see what the animation looks like. So the birds are coming down. We have that. Okay, cool. So let's have a look here. What I want to do is I want to show you about this brand new tool that we've got over here called the Capture Motion tool. You're going to love it. So the Capture Motion tool allows you to draw a motion path, and it will animate the object, or the peg, to be more precise. It will animate the peg that you've selected along that path automatically. What? Yes, very cool, right? So let's try it with one of our birds here. So we have a bird. We have, let's use this bird, this guy here, okay? So this guy flies down and it's touching down like that. Now I'm using a bird that is already animated. So I'm using a bird that already has an animation on its peg. Okay, you don't have to do that. You can actually use something that's not yet animated. Okay, that is static. All right. So, but I'm showing you something even more incredible, because I'm gonna actually preserve the existing animation. So, for example, the bird is moving like this, and I'm an animation director, and I see what my animator has done, and I like it. But actually, I would like the bird to go a bit further down. So I'm going to keep the first part of the animation. And from here, I'm going to change the direction of this bird. Okay, so I'm going to select the peg for the flight, which is this one. And then I'm going to go into the tool. I'm going to select this tool here and the tool properties. And in here, I've got a new window like this. It tells me about the capture speed, which I'll leave at 100%, the keyframe interval, which we'll see just now, and the smoothing. I'll leave everything the same. I'll just say capture. And then all I need to do is from frame 13, I'm going to just draw a line like this. And that's all. Now the animation, look at that. We're going to go from the beginning. So the bird is doing exactly the same as what it was doing at the beginning. And from frame 13, it's going to take the direction of my drawing. Like that. See how cool that is? So actually, I was able to just animate a new path for my bird. Obviously, what the bird is doing is not working here, okay? I need to do the exposures, but that's fine. That's just to show you how to animate it on the peg. And now, if I want to, I can even show the path to you. There it is. I can change the positions. I can add more intervals or less intervals for more or less control of the path. Or I can smooth it before or after I, play around with it. So this is really, really cool. Not only it can draw a new path for any peg, or it can add a peg at one moment in the animation where I want it to be changed. Okay. And remember, this is on a path here. So if I don't like this path now, I can throw it away and it's fine and it won't affect anything. But it is a very cool tool, which I think you guys are gonna really like to use. And we can't wait to see what you guys can create with this. So that's the capture motion tool. All right. In terms of advanced animation, we also have what we call the real-time effect mode, the retime effect mode. Now that is in the node library. So if I go here and I type time, I have these new things here, retime and retime transform. Retime is for elements, like the hand, for example, of a character, or and then retime transform is for a peg. And essentially what these will do is it will allow you to retime. So for example, if you've got an animation on an entire arm, okay, you can accelerate it, you can bounce it, you can loop it, you can, so if you bring this in here, you see you have multiple options. Okay, so you have the ability to move them around. So if you go to timing here, you'll be able to choose a different types of things. So if I go, let me just go to my timing there. That's it. So I've got a hold timing, I've got a loop timing, and I've got a retime, which means instead of in ones, I can do in twos, in threes. I can completely change the target frames, the values. I can change a whole bunch of different things. Okay. In terms of the pegs, I can do the same. So I can hold transformation on a peg, loop transformation on a peg, or retime the transformation on a peg without having to go drawing per drawing. Okay, you can do it for the entire element itself. So if your element is already exposing multiple drawings, like a foot is, let's say, either flat on the floor or lifting slightly, or sideways diagonal on the floor, you've already changed that. You don't want to mess up with that, but you want to be able to loop or retime that whole thing. You can use this. Or you want to do it with a peg that's moving the leg, you can do it with that. So again, to give you more power for advanced animation in Harmony. Okay, cool. Now let me talk to you about the shine effect. Very cool effect, which we have in our library as well. So I'm just going to undo a whole bunch of this here. That's it. And we're back to the beginning. Okay, so in this scene, I've got a new composite that is called a shine. Now the shine will allow me to, of course, play around with the shine on the cup over here. So if I select the cup, just make sure I've got the cup selected, and I go inside the cup like this, I've got a new effect here. I've got two shine effects there. Now, if you go into your node library and you look at your filters, your shine is here. That's a brand new effect. Now, the shine works like this. I'm just going to activate it on the timeline. I'm going to go here and press render. Okay. Now, if I render, you'll see what's going to happen with the shine there. That's it. You can see that there, that halo thing. That's a shine. In fact, we have two shines here. So the shine is, you can change, of course, the luminescence, the direction, the strength of the rays, the fall off, the alpha, the gamma, all the type of things. So the transparency, then alpha, the color gain, and the blending modes, which are the same as what you have in Photoshop, for example, okay, and much more. So you can combine two. You can see that the one is got the purple haze. So if if I do that, that's the one with the purple haze. And then the other one is with the long shine that goes, the short shine that goes around the cup like this. Okay, so you can combine, of course, two shines together, or as many shines as you want to together. But you don't only use the shine for doing an effect like this. So you can also use it for, sorry, let me just close this, apologies. Okay, you can also use the shine to do a transition. So for example, here I've got a transition that will go from, because this is maybe a dream memory, and when they're coming out of the dream, my shine is going to become much bigger and bigger, and it's going to fill the screen. Now, I don't know if you realize here, this is a 4K scene, okay? This is a 4K scene, and it's rendering all my my things pretty fast, right? Even when I have the shine now activated, you'll see, I need to go, I think, to this frame here. It's rendering pretty fast. You can see now my shine is taking over my entire scene to come, because it's coming out of my dream sequence, okay? Like that. As you can see, it's rendering quite fast. And that's because of that power that I was telling you about earlier. But of course, we have tools now, new tools that allow you to make it even faster. Maybe you don't need, while you're busy playing around with the compositing, maybe you don't need to go so fast, or maybe your computer is not as fast. So maybe you want to use it only half resolution. Okay, without changing the scene resolution, maybe you can just say render at half resolution. And guess what? It will render so much faster. And the quality is not as good, but who cares? All you really want to see right now is faster, so that you can see if the effect is working. As you can see, it's rendering much faster. Okay, I'm only half resolution, or a third, or fourth, even 1/32 second of resolution if you want to. And you can always go back to 1:1 whenever you need to, and you'll see that's even that is pretty fast. So you can do that, but you can also, in Harmony 21, add snapshots, and not just one, up to 5. So what are the snapshots? Maybe you guys have used it in Harmony 20 already. Okay, so let's say I want to do a change for my my purple over here. Okay, that's is that the purple? No, this is the purple one. Okay, so I want to change the color of my purple. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot of this one here, first of all. So I'm going to take a snapshot. That's my first snapshot. And then I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change the color to a little bit more red, like this. I can't even see the difference, can I? Okay, here we go. That's a bit different, okay? Then I want to take another snapshot. Oop, like that. There, okay? Then I want to change the color again. This time very red. Okay, like that. Then I want to put it to snapshot 3, and so on and so forth. Now I want to see what it looks like before and after. So now I can go snapshot 1. This is what it looked like before and after. Snapshot 1. Snapshot 2, you know, before and after, and so on and so forth. So now I can see the difference between multiple snapshots and see what they look like without re-rendering everything, just that portion. You can't see it very well there from red to pink, but you get an idea of what the snapshot will do. And it's not just for rendering effects, it's rendering in general. Okay, so if it's a change of movement or a change of deformation, or if a change of texture, whatever, you can of course use the snapshot, and you can compare 2 shots, one next to the other, like that. Okay, so those are also new features in Harmony 21. And we are almost finished for this session. I'm just looking at my notes just to make sure that I've covered everything. I'm going to talk to you briefly about the camera view since we are here. We've also made some changes or some improvements, sorry, to the camera view. So for example, we have the proportion grid, okay? The proportion grid is here. Let me just go back to OpenGL mode. There's a proportion grid over here, and that allows you to add a grid. I don't know if you can see it very well, to your screen at the moment there on here. So maybe what I should do is actually, no, that's fine. I think you can see there. That's the proportion grid. You can change that, of course. You don't need, you're not stuck with a rule of thirds. You can change it in the preferences in here, and you'll go, if I'm not mistaken, you go under camera, and you can see, I think the grid, is it in here? Yeah, here we go. Proportion grid, horizontal division 3, vertical division 3. But you can change it. You can change it to maybe 6 or 5 or whichever you want. And you can use this as a grid to help you compose your layout, for example. Okay. And then you also have, oh, and I explained everything else. I explained the snapshots, and I explained the change of rendering over here as well that you could use. So those are the changes that we've added to the camera view for Harmony 21. A little bit of changes in the timeline, which can be very useful in terms, especially in terms of audio. So when you have now multiple audio files, which I don't have in my case here, but if you have multiple audio files in here, you can now reorder them in the timeline, and you can rename them as well in the timeline. Before, you needed to re-import them if you wanted to change the name. Now you can reorder and rename the audio files in your timeline directly, okay? And then when you import or when you create a new drawing, okay? When you create a new drawing like this, you can extend the exposure for the whole drawing for the scene duration. That's also very, very quick. I don't know if you remember, when you created drawings before, you needed to, to extend the exposure manually for that drawing. It was only extended at the beginning, of the scene. So let me do that now. So if I go new drawing here, and I add it, and I go at the bottom wherever that drawing is, it would have only created one exposure for me at the beginning here, okay? Now this time, it will allow me to extend all the way like this to the end. That can be very useful, especially if you are using the same drawing for a background for the entire scene, instead of having you extend the drawing manually. So small changes, but again, improvement in speed and quality. That's really what we are doing with Harmony 21. Okay, guys, so that is it for the new versions, the new features of the Studio version. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the gaming features, which are super exciting. Yeah, and so I can't wait to go there with you guys. Let's have a look at the questions, maybe, if you have any questions for me.
Yes, Harry, we have some.
Yeah.
We have some questions.
We have some questions.
Exactly, there you go.
Where am I?
Perfect. I like this platform.
Okay, where am I? I can't see where I'm at actually.
In the main.
Oh, in here.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Here we go. Look at this.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to put this on. Oh, I can leave it on the screen. At least everybody can see. Question: do you think the learning curve of Harmony can be hard for people starting animation? Answer: no. Don't worry, it's not that difficult. I know it looks complex. I know there's a lot to it, but I think what's important is to focus on what you want to learn. When you start something, when you start learning skateboarding, you don't start by learning tricks. You start by learning how to stand on the skateboard. Okay, first to get your bearings, to get your, and then you start maybe moving forward, and then you start maybe doing a small trick, and then more complex tricks. It's the same with animation. Okay, so with Harmony, you can start first with things like how to draw or how to use the drawing tools. And then you'll go into how to animate frame by frame. And then maybe you'll go into creating a rig, and then. So no, I don't think it will be specifically difficult. Harmony is the right tool to start with because it's a tool that you are definitely going to use in the industry. And so I think it's going to be important to start from the beginning. What would be the technical challenges that Harmony 21 and 2D animation will face in the near future? Wow. Oh, that's a big question. The technical challenges. I like that. Well, I think some of the technical challenges that we will have is to keep up with the industry requirements. I don't think it's going to be challenges so much as it is just making sure that we are always on the right page. So whatever the industry is looking for, we need to be able to give it to the industry, right? In terms of technical performances of the software, such as, for example, the capacity to be compatible with HDR content, or capacity to be able to work in 4K or 5K or 8K. So there's those type of challenges. I think we are also going to move into an area where gaming is going to become bigger and bigger, especially now that we've come out with our new features, which I'll show you tomorrow. So I think gaming is a very good technical challenge for Harmony in the near future, and for 2D animation, because 3D games are, there's a lot, and 2D games there's a lot as well, but a lot of people think 2D is dead for gaming, which is not at all the case. So I think it's those two things are going to be quite important moving forward. Are the Harmony animation software is free?
Maybe this is a question for me.
For you, Carlos.
Yes, exactly. No, los software no son gratis. Lo que sí les puedo decir, y eso lo saben bien en este momento quienes los van a contratar en un futuro, después ustedes como dueños de estudios de animación lo van a saber, es que en este momento hicimos un trabajo del cual estamos súper orgullosos, y es que el precio de Toon Boom, de Harmony Storyboard Pro en México, es el precio más barato del mundo. Y se los digo de la siguiente manera: el precio de Toon Boom, es decir, de Harmony y Storyboard Pro en México, es 10% más barato que en Nigeria. Repito, es 10% más barato que en Nigeria. Entonces, ahí, a partir de allí podemos empezar. Es 30% más barato que en Estados Unidos. Es 35% más barato que en Europa. Es más o menos 26-25% más barato que en Canadá. A partir de allí podemos sacar la cuenta, pero no, lamentablemente no son gratis. Next question, please.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, no, we have more, exactly.
What innovational features does Harmony have that Adobe animates AE, Clip Studio, Blender? Oh, wow. Again, big question. Okay, I don't know if I'll be able to answer all of them.
No, we can't disclose features, unfortunately. But I have some ideas in Spanish that I want to share, because I think you actually answered that question, Harry, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I just want to add a couple of things here, just quickly before. So look, in terms of Animate and After Effects, let's remember one thing. They were not made for animation in the first place. Okay, so Toon Boom Harmony has been made for animation from the beginning. Animate was actually called Flash, and it was made for interactive, gaming and programming. Yes, it's called now Animate, but that's not how they started. So there are many things that Animate cannot do that Harmony can do. And After Effects is not actually made for animation. It's made for compositing.
Exactly.
People use it for animation, and they use it for especially cutout animation and motion graphics. But it's not made for traditional animation, definitely not, and it's not made for for heavy animation. Clip Studio is a software that is very old. It's not been redone. It's very specific to Japan. I know it's used maybe at some schools in South America, or used in some very few, but it's mainly the Japan market, the Japanese market. It's used in China because they work with Japan. It's used in Korea because they work with Japan. So it's very specific. And we've been very hard at work setting up things that Clip Studio can do. Can do to include them in Harmony. But there are many things Clip Studio cannot do that Harmony can do. Starting with rigging. The Clip Studio does not do rigging. Okay, so it's frame by frame. Blender, I'll leave that to another session. It's a long answer.
Yeah, quite long answer. And I want to add something, Harry. In Spanish, it's a little thing. Actually, your answer was more than perfect. So, lo único que quiero agregar es que, primero, obviamente no podemos hablar de features, como Harry dijo, no lo podemos, no está permitido. Pues, no sé, estaríamos en breach of contract, que es algo que no vamos a hacer. Pero lo que sí puedo decir es que justo, y esto lo pego un poco con la pregunta anterior, es que algo que ustedes pueden tener seguro con Toon Boom es que hay una inversión en desarrollar nuevos features, y una de las grandes responsabilidades, no solo de Toon Boom, sino de cualquier empresa de software, de Microsoft para abajo, y ahí ni siquiera hablamos de animación, hablamos de software, es mantenerse un paso adelante de la industria. Y algo de lo que sí pueden estar seguros es que nosotros entendemos bien ese rol, y justamente ese precio que se paga es para nosotros también pagar las inversiones en desarrollo de software que permita justamente tener features innovadores que estén un paso adelante justamente de lo que la industria requiere, y ese es el gran reto que tenemos todas las personas que trabajamos dentro de Toon Boom. Okay? Harry, next question.
Are there any courses, tutorials, people that really like making puppets should look for? Yes, of course. We have a learning portal online, so you can go to learn.toonboom.com. I think I can put it in the chat here. Let me just do that. Learn.toonboom.com. Have a look at that. That's a really great tool. It's the material is for free. You can download material. You can also access courses for free. You can, of course, download the software for 21 days for free, as I'm sure Carlos mentioned, and you can learn how to make cutout animation there. There's also a lot of other things, to play it online. We've got a Discord channel. We've got a Twitch channel. We've got, obviously, we are on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, you guys can check that all out. We've got a lot of different things. Oh, what other Harmony softwares would you recommend for animators?
There is only one Harmony.
There's only one harmony. Yeah, harmony is the name of the software. Okay, so Toon Boom is the name of the company, and harmony is the software. Okay, so we've got harmony premium, we've got harmony advanced, we've got harmony essentials, but the one you want to really learn is premium, because that's what you're going to use in the industry, because that has all the features. And then we have Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, which is our storyboarding software. And then we have Toon Boom Producer, which is our production tracking software. But there's only one harmony. What do I prefer working on? Well, it depends.
This is a survey, I think.
Yes, it's a poll that we'll put with the students during the talk about puppet animation and frame and frame.
Okay. So can we vote? ¿Podemos votar a nosotros?
Sí, creo que en encuestas ahí pueden votar también todavía.
Yeah, we can vote. I can vote.
Let's vote.
Let's vote. There we go.
There you go. Exactly.
50-50. Oh, it's moving.
Wow, 50-50. Interesting.
Wow, very interesting.
Oh, now it's changing a little bit, frame by frame.
Wow.
There we go.
Oh, it's taking off.
Interesting. Nice tool, this. I like it.
Yeah.
Well,
are we through all the questions, or?
I think the main questions were about like different learning portals, which you just mentioned with the Toon Boom portal and the tutorials.
Yes, there is 2 more questions related to the learning portal, Harry. I want to just say something in Spanish about the learning portal. Okay, el portal de entrenamiento es importantísimo. Okay, es importantísimo. ¿Por qué? Porque tiene más de 500 horas de video. Tiene esas horas de video, obviamente, están relacionadas a clases de animación. Allí pueden encontrar desde lo más básico hasta lo más avanzado. Y después, obviamente, cada clase tiene diferentes assets que pueden ser escenas, pueden ser personajes rigueados, dependiendo del tipo de clase. Tienen desde lo más básico, que es la pelotita rebotando, hasta ya personajes completamente rigueados con Master Controllers, desde lo más fácil hasta lo más complejo. Ustedes incluso pueden descargarse esos elementos del portal de entrenamiento. No tiene ningún costo, vale decir. ¿Okay? Pueden descargarse esos elementos del portal de entrenamiento y justamente practicar del lado de ustedes. Okay. Cualquier clase, cualquier cosa que sepan, que quieran saber y que quizás necesiten practicar un poco más, allí están esos elementos, son elementos que están, que obviamente, digamos, están ya testeados por profesionales de la animación. Okay, entonces es learn.toonboom.com, esa es la dirección, learn.toonboom.com, y de hecho, bueno, de verdad los invitamos a que vayan, porque de verdad es un recurso educativo muy interesante. Ahora, Harry, we have one last question I'm seeing here that I think is for you. Actually, I do have my opinion also on this one, but I'll ask you the question, which is, what do employers look for in puppet riggers makers? I hope that question makes sense. Sorry. Yes, it makes sense, your question. So, Harry, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, that is a very important position. Not that there are non-important positions in life in general, okay, but in the context of cutout animation, rigor is essential, because it is the person who's going to determine whether the animators are going to have fun or are going to have a nightmare. Okay, and so the riggers need to be really good, but that's also not depending only on the riggers. It also depends on the directors and you know, how to look at the whole project and so on. So what employers are really looking for with riggers is to be what's the word, organized. They need to be organized. They need to follow, the process. They need to be methodical. They have to follow exactly. They have to name each things properly. Okay, if you don't follow the naming conventions, for example, you're not going to be a good rigger, because the rigs need to be done properly. Maybe you don't come up with the conventions. Maybe someone else, the technical director, does. But you need to be able to follow what the technical director is saying. And so your method needs to be correct and nice and order, and so that's one of the first things that they're looking for. And also, the other thing that I want to add, last thing I want to add, is you need to have good knowledge of the software, technical knowledge of the software that you're using. Hopefully it's Toon Boom Harmony, but it could be, it could be 3D software, for rigging, because in 3D you could be rigging as well. So you need to have very good knowledge, technical knowledge of the software that you're using. Maybe not artistic. Artistic is different. For riggers, you need to have very good technical knowledge of the software. Those are the two things that I'm thinking about.
Awesome.
Okay.
Now I think we answered all the questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, Harry, Carlos. It was very interesting, and the features, it was just whoa. I think a lot of the students will benefit from this, and there are all the portals. I just let them know, guys. If you go to alerts on your top of screen, you can see all the different announcements that we made, where there's the portal, the Toon Boom Harmony YouTube channel, the webpage, all the information that you might need. Thank you so much for joining us, Harry, all the way from South Africa.
Pleasure.
Carlos, thank you. We're looking forward for tomorrow's session, talking about all the features that Toon Boom will have in video games. And
Herman, I just want to add something about tomorrow's session in Spanish. A ver, la sesión de mañana, las sesiones, porque son dos. Las sesiones de mañana son, creo que el plato fuerte incluso, porque primero en la mañana van a tener una sorpresa, que es Harmony. Ahora ustedes pueden animar para videojuegos con Harmony. Y eso es una sorpresota que van a tener mañana, ¿ok? Y después, en la tarde, les vamos a hablar sobre las oportunidades de carrera en animación. Entonces estén preparados, porque ahí les vamos a revelar un poco lo que dicen los dueños de estudios de animación, lo que están buscando en ustedes, ¿ok? Entonces bien atentos a mañana, ¿ok? Abrazo y muchas gracias. Thank you, Harry.
Muchas gracias. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Gracias.
Take care.